Minecarts are pretty cool. They have some unique functionalities in the game and they add a really nice visual or motion element to a build as well. Now for regular minecarts there are really easy dispense and collect system designs out there making use of a dispenser and a cactus, but for minecarts that can't be automatically collected, such as ones with chests or hoppers, I did not find that many designs. And when I needed to use minecarts with chests for a project recently, I set out to create my own minecart storage and dispenser system. It turned out to be a neat, separate, reusable subsystem, so I decided to share it here. Hopefully it will be useful to anyone with a similar challenge as I had. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. The system is built around three main features. It tracks how many cards are in the stack at any given time. When the stack is full, it blocks additional incoming minecarts, and you can ask the stack for a minecart and it will be dispensed as soon as one is available. This means that if the stack is empty when you ask for one, the request will be held onto and fulfilled whenever a new minecart enters the stack. Now it's easy to make variations on this design if some functionality doesn't exactly fit what you need. We'll go into that in the step-by-step building tutorial. You need these materials to build the system. Now I won't read them out in detail, you can pause the video here if you need to make a shopping list. Do note that the glass here is mainly so you can see what goes on in the stack, which is handy for the tutorial, but you can replace that with regular building blocks. Now the system built here can hold 10 minecarts in a stack, but the height is actually one of the variables you can adjust, so you may need to add or remove some materials accordingly. As always, your specific situation may mean that you want to reroute a redstone line or a rail line, so keep plenty of building blocks, slabs, redstone dust and rails on hand for that. To construct the system, start by creating a glass tube of 10 blocks high. This is where the minecart will be stacked up. Go to the side and bottom of this tube and remove 2 glass blocks. Place some temporary blocks like so. Place a sideways regular piston and one above and one back a sticky piston with a slab connected to it. Place 2 blocks in a step down formation. You can remove all the temporary blocks. Place a torch on the side of the first block you placed and a redstone dust on top, and on the second block a 4-tick repeater. Place a 2x3 area of blocks. Place 2 dust on either side and 2 comparators going in opposite directions. Place an additional block offset from the 4-tick repeater that goes out of the system and place another 4-tick repeater going in. And behind that repeater, place a sticky piston a few blocks up, facing downwards, and an observer facing the other way. This should be enough to dispense a minecart. We'll test it by placing a button on the top block and seeing if it works. This will let one minecart through and hold the rest of the stack inside the glass tube. Connect 2 rail lines to your system, one at the bottom which will be your output of your system. It doesn't really matter how long this is, just a bunch of powered rails like so. Make sure they are powered and that there is a solid block behind here, otherwise the minecarts will get sent off. And make sure that the lever that you use doesn't interfere with any of your other redstone. Go up top and remove 2 glass blocks from the front and place 8 blocks in a line like so. Place 1 detector rail here, 6 powered rails that you again power in some way. It doesn't really matter, but make sure they don't interfere. And then this links up to whatever rail system that you have. For this tutorial, I'll just make a little bit of a T-junction like so. And I guess we just power it. And for testing purposes, we'll have a block with a powered rail here as well. To install the system that tracks how many cards are available, go to the detector rail, place a downward facing dropper and an upward facing dropper straight below that. You can verify their direction by pressing F3, by the way, and looking on the right side you see facing down and facing up. Inside the top dropper, place how many minecarts are maximum in the system. In this case that's 10. You could go lower here if you want to for some reason. I don't have a rule if you vary height how much it will be, so just test it and see what you're happy with and then put that many items in. Below this, place a target block and step down. This is always a bit tricky to do. A redstone line all the way to the existing redstone, and just place dust on top of these things. Now if you go higher, you may run into a situation where you don't have enough signal strength, so you might have to add a repeater in here. Let's install the redstone that handles the requests for minecarts. Go to the other side of the two droppers that you just installed, go one block down and place a dropper facing to the exit. Place a dropper facing into that dropper next to it. You can verify the direction again with F3. In the glass tube, replace one glass block with a solid block. This is your input for the system that requests for a minecart. For the purposes of this tutorial, it'll just be a button. Place one block into the first dropper that you placed, and below the second dropper place another block, and next to that place another slab with redstone dust on top of that. Place 2 slabs on this side and 3 slabs on that side, and outgoing from the droppers place a comparator going into another 4-tick repeater. On the side where you have 3 slabs, just place 1 dust. On both sides, this goes into a block with a redstone torch on it. Leave a 1 block gap and place 3 blocks sideways. Place some dust on top to make an AND gate. Place a redstone torch above this side with the sticky piston, and on top of this block place a dust. We should now be able to test the system by placing a minecart here. It indicates that there's one in stock, and if we now press this button, we should see it get dispensed. And after this, we see it indicates that there are now no more in stock. Finally, to make sure that the system closes when it is full, go to the counter side of your droppers, place blocks in an L shape like so. You can remove that one. Place a comparator going out of the dropper and out of the block and into 1 dust. On the block with the dust, place 1 torch. Leave a 1 block gap and place 2 blocks in a formation like this. On the first one, place a dust. On the second one, place another torch. Finally, go to the block next to the curved rail. Place more blocks in an L formation. You can again remove that one. Place 2 dust and a torch there. Now this depends on the orientation that you build it in and the direction that you will be feeding the minecart system. It may be the case that you need to invert this last section because the default orientation of your rail, your corner, needs to be the other way. If that is the case, just remove this and replace it with 2 blocks with dust like so. But in this tutorial, I built it in a certain way that it does need this setup with the torch, so I'll reinstall it. We should be able to test it now. For the purposes of the test, I made it so that it can only hold 2 minecarts. So we should see that. If I add the second one, then it closes it off. And if I now request a minecart, it will open it up again. The last thing to test is whether the requests get held onto properly. So it is empty now. We'll just request for a minecart. Nothing can be done. It will hold the request. And if we now send a minecart in, it'll get dispensed. Now if you don't want this behavior, you can remove this redstone and just send your input straight into this block. And what will happen then is if you request for a minecart but none is available, then the request just gets ignored. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, that all the steps were clear and that you found some way to apply this in your build. If you have any tips or feedback, do feel free to leave a comment. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like or subscribing to the channel for similar content in the future. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and I hope to see you next time.